Hello everyone, welcome to MBA Karo. NMAT results are finally announced and the cutoffs are out. And many of you must have got calls from NMIMS Mumbai, Bangalore, etc. Congratulations to all the call getters. And this year the cutoff was on similar lines 232. The sectional cutoff has gone dropped a bit, surprising. In the NMAT call letter that you have got, there is something mentioned that there is going to be a VAT and there is going to be a Watson Glaser test. A lot of students requested me that what is this? They are hearing it for the first time. So let me give you a brief about this test, what is this test all about, and what are the kind of questions you can expect, and what should you do to answer those questions. Okay, so Watson Glaser test is basically a critical thinking test that will be tested in your second phase of admission. Now, if we talk about the cutoffs, this year Mumbai campus had a cutoff of 232, which was same as last year. The sectional cutoffs have gone down, especially in the quant section, QS section. You see that 69 last year it was 70 plus. So in all the other campuses also you see that quant cutoff is a bit low. Bangalore campus 224, Navi Mumbai 224, Hyderabad and Indore the same 206, 225 for business analytics and digital transformation, pharma 185. So cutoff, overall cutoff on similar lines, not much of a difference. Sectional QS sectional has dipped this time. So a lot of students who could not do in QS and were of the opinion, okay, around 70 72 would they clear the cutoff or not? Now it is clear that you have cleared the cutoff. So start preparing for the next phase. And for the second stage of selection process, they have written that there will be VAT, written analytical test, Watson Glaser test, and personal interview. So you are already aware about these two terms. This is something new which is creating a buzz. So I thought that let us discuss what it is and how can you do good in this. So it is basically a sort of critical reasoning test. Okay, and you will be given a good number of questions, and you will be given very less time to think and answer those questions. Now this test is often used by foreign employers to recruit people. Okay, so they are conducting this test to test your decision making ability. How fast can you decide on different scenarios? So they will give you certain scenarios, and based on that you have to answer these questions. So it is a critical thinking appraisal test, and it is used to evaluate your critical thinking and problem solving abilities. Okay, so you must have seen in the phase one also they had heavy focus on critical reasoning. So there also they are testing your critical abilities. Now there are five areas that are tested in this test. So these are inference, recognition of assumptions, deduction, interpretation, and evaluation of arguments. Okay, so I'm sure you must have heard of these terms inference while you prepared for NMAT, deductions, interpretation, arguments, assumptions, etc. So it is nothing different. It is all these things which will be tested in it. Now, how will the questions be framed and what kind of options you would be given? That I will tell you. So you might have, like, let's say a test of 30 minutes which have 30 questions, maybe six questions from each of the topics. And based on that, your overall profile will be evaluated. Okay, you are good at interpretation, you are good at getting the inferences right, etc. So that is up to them. How do they evaluate you? Ideally, a score of somewhere 60% plus should be a good score in this. The range at international standards is 75%, but even in this case, because it would be something very new to you, you might not have heard of it, never prepared for it. So even if you are able to score 60% in this test, I think that should be good enough as an indicator that you are a critically strong thinker. So let us look at the cases and how do you answer those questions. First is inference. Inference is basically what you get from a text. Okay, so for example, this statement says that consumer income reports produced by the government distinguish between households and families by means of the following definition. Okay, a family is a household containing a householder and at least one person related to the householder. Except for the homeless and people in a group living quarters, most people live in households. Okay, so they have defined that what is a family. Right now, we are taking two cases. First says all families include a householder. Now, what is the definition of householder given above? It is given that a family is a household containing a householder and at least one person related to a householder. So, if you contain a family has a householder plus greater than equal to one relative. There should be one householder plus at least one relative. Okay, so when I say all families include a householder, yes, they will include a householder because that is the minimum requirement. So this, if we talk about, this is going to be a true inference that yes, it includes a householder because that's a mandatory thing. Now if you look at this, all of the people related to a householder form a family. Now, can you tell that whether all people related to a householder form a family? So you will have these kind of options: true, probably true, insufficient data, probably false, false. Now we might have. Let us take some cases, right? So true to nahi hoga because a person might have many relatives. Okay, so not necessarily that all relatives are a part of the family. What is the definition of the family? The family is a household containing a householder and at least one person related to the householder. So we can have something. Let us say there is a householder. He has a relative R1, R2, R3, R4, R5, and so on. Okay. Now suppose these are part of his family, but these are not part of his family. Okay, so it is not necessarily that it is true. Will it be false? Not necessary. Now suppose a householder has just two relatives or three relatives: relative 1, relative 2, relative 3, and no other relative outside. So they will all be a part of his family. So we are not defined. So this could be probably true because in this case it is false. In this case it is true. It could probably be true. Okay, so that is what, how we answer this. So this is probably true. Next is recognition of assumptions. Assumptions, I'm sure that you know what they are. So it says that in 2014, the Indian Prime Minister promised to boost the economy of the country, but he failed because in 2022 the employment was at the peak. Okay, so this question is incomplete. So let us say that it says that employment is an indicator of the health of economy. Suppose this is the statement given. Okay, now we are saying that he promised to boost the economy but he failed on what ground? Because we have given the reason is that employment, sorry, it should be unemployment was its peak. My bad. So unemployment is was at the peak, right? So this means that like we are given the statement that he promised to boost the economy, and the reason we are given that he is failing because unemployment was at its peak. Okay, so that means that like unemployment could be an indicator. That is why we are giving the reason that he failed because unemployment was at peak. That's the reason that we have given. So the assumption is true here. Okay, because we are the author is assuming that unemployment is an indicator. That is why he's saying that the prime minister failed in his objective. Okay, deduction, then it is like conclusion kind of thing that you deduce from it. Anutosh started a new company. New companies are more likely to fail than well established companies. Therefore Anutosh's company will fail. So will you conclude it or not? Now, if you see that, what does it say? That he started a new company, okay, and new companies are more likely. More likely means their probability is high. But that does not mean that it is 100%. Does it say? No, it does not say. So we cannot conclude that his company will fail. Instead of that, suppose if, like, instead of this, it was said that Anatosh's company is likely to fail. So in that case, you would choose that conclusion follows, because we are given that the probability is high, but definitely not 100%. If you say will fail, that becomes a strong case, right? You are saying that 100% it will fail, which is not the case. So that is why you, in this scenario, you will say that no, conclusion does not follow, because it is saying that high probability, that does not mean 100%. Okay. So if you say politicians are bad, that does not mean that every politician is bad, right? So same thing. Now interpretation is similar to conclusion. We will have the same thing. Sorry, this you won't have this. You will have that conclusion follows and conclusion does not follow. Right. So this is like it will be mathematical or logical in nature. Interpretation is mathematical or logical in nature. More of that analytical. I would say analytical. So Edwin is taller than Jatin and Roshan is taller than Amrit. Edwin is taller than Jatin. Roshan is taller than Amrit. Jatin is shorter than both Roshan and Amrit. Okay. Jatin, so Roshan is greater than Amrit and this is Jatin, right? So Edwin is greater than Jatin, that we know. And then we are given Mujib and Amrit are of the same height. Now, Edwin, we are not sure of. Edwin is taller than Jatin, but we do not know. Okay. Now, Mujib is taller than Jatin. That we can conclude. Yes, we can conclude that he is taller than Jatin. So, conclusion follows. Suppose instead the statement was Mujib is taller than Edwin. In that case, we will say that does not follow. Okay, so that is the case that it follows or it does not follow depending on the deduction that you get. So interpretation is basically analytical in nature. Analytical or mathematical things would be given. Next we have is evaluation of arguments. So evaluation of argument is strong or weak argument. Okay, so let us say that should companies lay off employees to decrease expenses and maximize profits? Yes, layoffs will protect them from making losses during the recession, right? So does it sound a strong argument? Yes. See, you should not focus on yes or no. You should focus on the reason. Layoffs will protect them from making losses. Definitely, like if you have layoffs, right, there will be cost cutting. Okay, so cost cutting will basically reduce the losses, right? So that is a strong argument because the reason is valid. So you have to think practical. You do not have to think from emotional point of view. You do not have to use any other information or your viewpoint. Just stick to the statement what they have given. Now second is given as this leads to demoralization of the workforce, right? Is it something a strong argument or not? Because it is opinion based, right? It is not something a conclusive thing. See, this is something which is conclusive. Of course, like if you cut down the people, the salary cost will go down and you will have less likely to make losses. Now if you lay off employees, demoralization of the workforce. Of the people who have been laid off will definitely matter, but the people who are still in the company, we can't say. Okay, so how does this impact thing is not clear, so we can say that it's a weak argument. It's not a strong argument because we are not crystal clear that how does it, like we do not have much information about it. Moreover, it is uh, sort of more of an opinion, and definitely it is not necessary that it will demoralize all the workforce. Okay, so that is evaluation of arguments. All right, so I hope this video was helpful for you to understand what is Watson Glaser test, and it is just critical reasoning, nothing else. And everyone is new to this thing, so do not feel कि अरे यार क्या चीज़ है. It's just be normal, and if you are critically sound, logical ability अच्छी है, you can think well, try to do good in this test, and probably will sail through. So it's just that just prepare critical reasoning, nothing else, and you would be able to do well in this test. So thank you for watching this video.